Hello everyone, I hope you are doing well. As promised in part 1 of our Kizazi Moto Generation Fire Recap series, here is part 2. In this video we will talk about 4 new heroes and their stories. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, please check it out first. Without further ado, let's get started. The episode begins with our MC Ndahura following a group of cows and headers. The captain asks the robot to scan the area to see if there are any threats. The scan shows that everything is clear. Ndahura is getting ready to make a good impression. However, because of strong magnetic interference, the calf suddenly makes a loud noise. This wakes up a dangerous predator and attracts the attention of the 3 legendary headers. The group includes 3 legends: Captain Katono, the one-eyed spirit assassin; Isingoma, the basket-headed killer; and Dushime, the mighty mouth header. Ndahura wants to fight and protect the people. He wants to prove that he deserve to be a real header. Katono explains something very important. She says that every decision a header makes affects every single head of cattle. It is a huge responsibility that cannot be taken lightly. By the way, he is our little brother. After explaining the importance of being a header, a threat appears. The predator attacks. It paralyzes many cows and even the 3 legendary heroes. And like any predators, it targets the weakest victim, the calf. A chase begins. Dahura runs after the predator to save the calf. The predator swallows the calf and knocks Dahura to the ground. Just as the monster is about to attack again, Katono arrives and saves the brother. Dushime distracts the enemy while Isingoma prepares his attack. Dushime is knocked down but calls his tool and strikes the predator. Katono uses a whip to grab the monster and slam his head to the ground. Then Isingoma uses technique and fires multiple arrows at the predator, forcing it to retreat into a cave. Sadly, Ndahura feels guilty. He believes that everything happened because of him. In his mind, it was only a distraction. Katono tells him that small and inexperienced people like him cannot survive out there. Hearing that hurts him deeply. It feels like someone being told that they will never make it to the professional league because they're too small. But he hears the calf screaming inside the cave and decides to go inside and save it. The cave closes behind him. He's looking for the calf and finally finds it. He tries to free it, but the cord holding it is too strong, and the predator appears again. He uses the predator claws to cut the cord and free the calf. Now it is Dahura versus the predator. He dodges 2 attacks and manages to land 2 strikes. The predator then releases a powerful red shock wave that sends Dahura flying into the wall, a bit like Momo. And how did she survive that? He loses his weapon, but then he realizes something important. His weapon is connected to the calf's earring because of the magnetic interference. Dahura is about to lose, but the calf suddenly makes loud noises and distracts the monster for a moment, like that one monster girl from solo leveling. That small distraction was enough. Dahura quickly grabs his weapon and the earring. He throws the earring into the air while the predator attacks him. His weapon connects to the earring and releases a powerful electric shock wave. Outside the cave, Katono is still trying to find a way to save her brother. She fears that he might already be dead, but Dahura walks out the cave. He saved the calf, and now he can control the predator. At that moment, he finally understands what Katono meant earlier. Every decision a header makes can affect every single head of cattle. He officially becomes the new member of the team. He still has a long journey ahead of him, but one thing is certain: one day he will become a legend.
Hey, how was he able to control the predator?
Simple. To command an animal, someone must send the order with a tool. The animal must have an earring to receive that order. The earring receives the signal and forces the animal to obey.
Oh, I see. Thank you.
Yep, now let's move to the second hero. The episode begins with a voice telling our MC Njabulo not to go back to the water. We then see him as a child being saved by his grandmother. Sadly, his grandmother gets pulled down to the bottom of the ocean by those creatures after saving him, and it's safe to say that he is deeply traumatized. Even though he's still afraid of the water, he now works as a surf coach helping children learn how to surf. We are then introduced to his best friend, Nwobi, who is almost like a brother to him. We also learn that Jabulo's grandmother was a legendary surfer. Nwobi believes Jabulo is wasting his talent. He wants him to overcome his fear of the ocean, so he convinces him to go beyond the wall, a place where people surf massive waves. The problem is that going there is illegal and extremely dangerous. They finally arrive at the place, and just looking at those waves is already terrifying. They were only supposed to watch, but clearly that was not the real plan. Suddenly, a group of dangerous surfers appears, and it turns out that Nwobi and the group set Jabulo up. It was a trap all along, and in that place the rule is simple: you surf or you leave. There is no option to just watch. The surfers jump into the water and start riding the dangerous waves with glowing octopuses attached to their heads. These creatures give them a kind of high, allowing them to face the deadly waves without fear. And for Jabulo, this experience brings back his trauma. Later, Jabulo returns to the kiddie pool, where he works as a surf coach and teaches a little girl how to surf. His friend calls him and apologizes for what happened earlier. He says that he will make it up to him, but soon after, Nwobi and his gang appear at the kiddie pool, and their plan becomes clear to understand. They want to steal the surfboard that belonged to Jabulo's grandmother. grandmother. Why? Because the leader believes Jabulu is a disgrace to the name of the legendary surfer Mazel. In her opinion, that surfboard deserved to be in the open ocean with real surfers. Nwobi breaks the glass and steals the board. Jabulu tries to stop them, but one of the gang members knocks him out. When he wakes up, he remembers the day his grandmother warned him not to go into the water, but he disobeyed, and because of that, she died after saving him. While remembering that painful moment, he suddenly hears something different. This time, his grandmother's voice tells him to go back to the water, so Jabulu goes beyond the wall to get the board back. The fight begins, his friend tries to protect him, but he is thrown into the water. Jabulu grabs his grandmother's surfboard and jumps into the water to save Nwobi, but the waves are too strong. Jabulu begins to drown, and suddenly he is surrounded by the same glowing octopuses that kill his grandmother. He struggles to free himself, but there are too many of them. It looks like he might die. But then his grandmother appears as a spirit. She tells him how much he has grown and reminds him that he has a special gift, a deep connection with the ocean. Jabulu apologizes for what happened and says that it was his fault she died. He also believes that Nwobi is already dead, but his grandmother tells him that Nwobi is still alive, and she asks him to save his friend. By using her power, she sends the surfboard to the surface so Jabulu can reach it. When the gang realizes Jabulu is still alive, they attack him again. But this time things are different. Jabulu manages to defeat every member of the group and even defeats the leader, leaving her drowning in the ocean. After everything is over, Jabulu and Nwobi talks about what happened, even though what Nwobi did was terrible. Lying, manipulating, stealing the board and putting their lives in danger. Jabulu is still thankful, because through all this, he finally overcame his fear of the ocean, and somehow their friendship becomes even stronger. Now let's move on to the third hero. The episode takes place in an advanced world where technology is so developed that there is a perfect balance between nature and people. In this world, people use totems, some kind of tattoo on their hands that allow them to access the house and even pay for items. We are introduced to the MC's family are rushing to catch the flying train, and they are fighting with each other just to open the door. What kind of family is that? Imagine your family fighting each other because everyone wants to open the door. That would be
embarrassing.
By the way, the MC's name is Sheba Mniki. Today is the day of her totem ceremony, the day she will receive a totem, and having a totem is equal to becoming an adult. Her family is divided into two groups, those with pink totem, the Mulefe totem, and those with the yellow totem, the Mniki totem. With the Mulefe totem, she could become a quantum physicist, and with the Mniki totem, she could become a third generation healer. So the family is divided and both sides want to control the kid's destiny. They arrive at the building where she will receive a totem. She tells them that after receiving the totem, she plans to travel alone and explore the world. And the whole family is like,
Boy, ain't no way, boy. Boy, ain't no way, boy.
they are extremely protective for no reason. And
Come on, man.
lets the kid live a little. The receptionist then gives us more explanation about the ceremony and the totem. The totem connects them to their past and propels them into their future. She will pass through the waterfall as a child, and with the ancestral gift of a totem, she will return as an adult. She walks toward the waterfall, but she is rejected. And instead of cheering her up, because having a totem in that world is very important, the whole family start fighting with each other again. Even the receptionist joins the fight. So she takes the receptionist's cloak. She finally enters the other world and arrives at a place named The Ancestors Never Die Incorporated. She throws her name to the receptionist and we meet some of her ancestors, Wewe and Mimi. The receptionist calls one of her co-workers and tells him that there is an ancestral soul lost down there. Wewe distracts Mimi and runs away with Sheba. Wewe wants to sneak her into the totem printer so she can receive Wewe's totem before Mimi finds her. And we learn why she didn't get her totem earlier. Her ancestors were fighting with each other which block access to this world through the waterfall. While they continue fighting, Nikki takes the opportunity and runs to find the totem printer. Now a chase starts between the ancestors and Nikki. They are still fighting while chasing the girl. She finally arrives at the totem printer, activates it and decides she wants to create her own totem. Her ancestors catch up to her and start arguing again about which totem she should receive. Based on what I understood, when someone reaches a certain age, they go through the ceremony and receive a totem from one of their ancestors. After receiving it, they automatically become an adult. But if there is a conflict between the ancestors, the person cannot receive any totem and therefore cannot become an adult. The totem is more than just a tattoo. It represents your strength and identity in the society. Each totem contains a part of the ancestors so the connection between generations can stay alive. And Nikki was like, why should I have one totem if I can have two? She activates both totems at the same time. The machine suddenly explodes and Nikki is frozen. The receptionist finally arrives and Nikki goes back to the real world, but she returns without any totem and her family is still fighting. Why? The kid was gone for a very long time and they're still fighting? After talking to them, something incredible happens. She suddenly receives two totems at once, and because of that they stop fighting and she's officially considered an adult. Now she might technically be a criminal because she literally blew up the machine that gives totems to everyone. But hey, maybe there will be another one. The MC story is very interesting because it reflects the reality of many families. Some parents argue about their child's future and try to control every decision. They decide everything without listening to what the kid really wants. It feels like the kid has no voice, no choice, and they are just an object, not a person. And this can hurt deeply and take away their freedom to dream and grow. Now, let's move to the last hero. The episode starts with our MC, Olu, who suffers from memory loss. He is climbing a tree trying to find a way out of a big empty city. Suddenly, he sees a fireball falling from the sky. After hitting the ground, the fireball creates a shockwave so strong that it knocks Olu out of the tree. He then hears the noises of monsters. After realizing they are watching him, he runs away, and we see a human following him. The kid finally reaches his house, and it seems like that because he spends too much energy during the day, he needs to recharge a device in order to stay alive. The more energy he uses during the day, the more he needs to recharge it. So he recharges the device, which gives him enough energy to listen to a story from the talking bird, his guardian. The bird starts telling him a story, but then hears some noises. The human is here. So the bird takes an offensive stance and tells the human, who is a woman by the way, that she doesn't belong in the realm of the gods. The woman was followed by the monsters, and she inadvertently brought him to this place. A fight between the talking bird and the monsters begins, and the monsters are too powerful and the bird loses life. The woman protects the child using a weapon, takes the red charger and teleports them to the human realm. Her name is Marimi. She rage baits the child and he easily falls for the bait. But sadly, she accidentally brings the monster to the human realm as well. She activates a barrier which prevents the monsters from entering the city. Now they're on their way to the lab while staying vigilant because the monsters are not very far from them. Meanwhile, the kid is getting weaker because he needs more energy. They are not traveling by boat, and she decided to become more serious. She finally tells Olu the truth behind everything that is happening. Their land Ife was overrun with soul-stealing giants from another realm. So a woman prayed to the gods and they bestowed upon her the power of divine energy. She then built shields to keep Ife safe, and she tried to close the doorway between the two realms. So she created a machine and tried everything, including using herself. But the god wanted a stronger link. A child. Everyone warned her about the risk, but foolishly she did not listen. It seemed she had no other choice, so she offered her own heart. The doorway between the two realms was finally sealed. Ife was safe again. However, the gods reminded the woman of her oath. Her heart now belonged to them. The loss was heavy, too heavy for her to bear, so she made another vow. She would not rest until she get her heart back. Suddenly they are attacked by the monsters again. While everything is happening, Olu gets a short flashback. She's a woman placing a child inside a machine, and that woman looks like her. Then he passes out. He later wakes up in the lab. He notices a boy inside the machine, but the monsters find a way inside the lab and they attack again. She tells Olu to hide. A fight between Marimi and the monsters begins, but she's not strong enough. She is slammed to the ground, loses her weapon, and gets absorbed. Olu takes the weapon and tries his best to fight back, but sadly the monsters fuse together, becoming an even more powerful creature. He then notices the link between his device and the woman's weapon. He connects them and launches a powerful attack against the monster, but that is not still enough. Then he sees another device connected to the boy inside the machine. He connects his own device to the boy's. He releases shockwaves so powerful that they eliminate all the monsters, all the soul eaters. He saves the city. He destroys the soul eaters. He saves his mother, and his soul finally returns to his body, and are finally reunited. With Dahura, we learn that courage is not about being the strongest, it is about making the right decisions and taking responsibility. With Jabulo, we learn that sometimes the only way to move forward is to face the fears that has been holding us back. With Nikki, we learn that our future should not be always decided by others. Sometimes we must create our own path. But for me, the most powerful story was Moremi, a mother fighting monsters and risking everything to save her son. That story really hits differently, but maybe for you it was different. Don't forget to tell me which hero or story was your favorite in the comments below. And for part 3, it's gonna be the same thing again. 4 new heroes, new stories, and new adventures. I hope you enjoyed the video, and this was part 2 of our Kizazi Moto Generation 5 recap series. And yeah, see you soon.